Lindsay, what's going on?
Hey David, how's it going?
Hey, good. It's going really good. So we're live and we're going on our fifth month here at eXp now, right?
Yep, going on 5 months.
So we kind of specifically waited this time frame before we went live together because I know a lot of people in the industry know who you are. You've been very successful. You sold a lot of homes, and your production is just always increasing, it seems like. So I kind of wanted to share a little bit of experiences, but of what you've had happen so far. But before we do that, tell us, when did you get licensed?
I got licensed in the beginning of 2011. So January, I think, of 2011 is when I got my actual license. But I came to work for you before that, just as your assistant in 2010. So a little bit of time prior to that.
Okay, so what was it like your first year, maybe first 2 years in real estate?
It was a completely different market back then. In 2010 was all foreclosures. You had to sell a lot of property to make a little bit of money. You dealt with buyers mostly, unless you had a foreclosure account. So the industry was different. And I also worked two jobs. I did real estate. I had also worked for a retail company. So I did real estate part-time for the first 2 years.
You remember what our average was back when you started?
The average purchase price, I want to say it was under 50,000 or about 50,000.
Yeah, I think it was like in the 60s, if I remember right, somewhere around 50, 60 grand. And it was definitely low. It probably felt lower than it really was because it definitely was a different ball game for sure. So after you decided, okay, I'm going to quit my job, you went full time into it. And what was like your plan for real estate? Like, did you see yourself doing it forever, or was it temporary?
No, it was temporary. When I started in real estate, I thought that I would do this for a few years and then go back to school. Prior to that, my passion had been, I always wanted to do dental hygiene. I've always had kind of a fascination with it, and I thought that would be the perfect job for me. So I had planned to go back to school, do school part-time, work in real estate, and then do that. It actually took me a couple of years to really fall in love with real estate and love what I do.
Yeah, I remember when you started as my assistant, like you said, and I came in one day and just told you, like, hey, I think you would be a really, really good real estate sales agent. I think you should do this. And I remember you just stared at me like, what are you doing to me? Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
and you've
that's pretty much how I felt.
but you've crushed it since. So I think it was a really good decision. So what was it that got you to finally say, like, okay, this is going to be my career and I'm going to pursue this on like a high level?
Um, a lot of different things had to happen for me to see it, to know that I could do it, to know that um, a lot of people come into the business just like I did. Commission based only is hard. So if you don't sell a house, if you don't close a deal, you don't get a paycheck, you don't feed your family, you don't keep a roof over your head. And there's no security in that. And I hear that all the time from agents who think about, well, oh, I just couldn't do that. It's so hard. And it can be really hard, but you have to come to terms with you're in control of that based on your actions. You're in control of that based on what you do every day and how you handle your business. Just like anyone who owns a business, owns a company, their actions are what control the revenue in their business. So once I came to terms with that and I really understood it, I knew that I could do it. And so I knew what I had to do to make it work. And I still wasn't in love with it at that point. I knew that I could sell houses, but I had to go to another level of falling in love with the people and the service provided to them, because regardless of the sales price, regardless of all the stuff that happens in the transaction, the people either need to buy a house or sell a house, and they're moving from one phase to another. And that's soul food. Learning how to feed your soul with that and getting them transitioned to where they need to be, that's better than a paycheck. So having that combined with a paycheck, it's like the whole package.
Yeah, that's I know, like we talked about, the purchase price was so low, right? So like
Uh,
worst time to get into real estate, like everyone else was getting out of real estate, and a lot of people probably even told you like why do you do this? Right? Either feast or famine, and now's not the time, right? I think I've
yeah,
even
I heard that a lot.
Yeah, you did. I remember you coming to me and telling me like so and so told me this, and but what's funny is you just kept your head down and you just focused on like, starting with the end in mind of what you wanted to create, and you just came in and just hustled. You just did the work every single day, and this one thing that I really admire about you is that you and I worked so well together because we would come to work and we would ignore a lot of the things that were going on around us. And, sometimes you had to remove yourself from certain environments just so you could focus and do what is mattered, those things that matter for your business, like you said.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we just showed up and we just did it. Like there was no like distractions, nothing getting in our way. Like we see a lot of agents get into the business and they come in and they tell people like you, like, hey, I see you doing really good and I want to do what you do. And they hear about how many homes you've sold. Like one year on our team, you sold what, 82 homes in one year, right? And
Two
so
years.
in in what, 2 different years? Yeah. So like
Two
you've done
different years,
that.
I sold over 80 homes.
So you've done that multiple times and you continue to sell a lot of homes every single year. So like a lot of agents see that and they want to do the exact same thing, but very, very, very few actually do. And so, what is it in your opinion that you believe has helped you do it? Like, what are those daily activities? What are some of the things that you focus on that's helped you get the success that you've had? And what can you help share with others who, are some of these new people coming in that say that I want to be like Lindsay, I want to do what she's done. What can you tell them to help them actually see that success happen?
A lot of agents come in or they're going to go to real estate school and get licensed and they have these big ideas of absolutely dominating in the industry, but they don't really see all the actions that it takes. They don't see the dirty, the hard, the rejection, the, trying to get people to work with you, and the daily activities that it takes. And it's a lot like, going to the gym, and you show up at the gym, you buy the workout clothes, you have the good shoes, you have the water bottle, you do all these things, and you go and you spend 3 hours in the gym. But if you're not working your body, you're not seeing results, right? It's the same thing in real estate. So you get an office, you get a CRM, you buy the fancy laptop, you buy all the fancy lead ads, you get all this stuff to help you do your business. But if you're not actually working them and taking the steps that it takes, and it's not the fancy stuff, it's not the shiny stuff, it's connecting with people. You have to have enough conversations with enough people. You have to know what to say. You have to know who to say it to, and you have to say it enough times. So I've had new agents come in and they say, well, I don't want to call new leads. I don't want to have to convince them to work with me. I just want people right now ready to go look at houses. Well, those people, they are getting, internet ads all over the place. They're getting people calling them. And it's just like shopping in Dillard's. When you go into the store and you have 5 or 6 salespeople say, can I help you? Can I help you? Can I help you? And they say, no, I'm just looking. It's the same thing. And so you have to provide a level of service to your people, and you have to continue to do so until you build that relationship value with them. Because as much as this business is becoming transactional, it's still relational, and they want to know that they can trust you with the biggest transaction of their life. And so that's what it comes down to. And building that isn't an overnight thing. So you have to continue to do it and follow up and become that person that they can trust. They have to know that you care. People want to know that you care about them and what's important to them.
That's freaking amazing. So everything you said, I backed also. Like I've seen you do exactly what you just said over and over and over every single day and every single year. You get this really good results. So, um, what what is it about now the other agents that come in? You say they come in and they want those results, but is it that they just don't do those things? They're not having those conversations that you think would help benefit their life if they did? Is that the number
So
one?
sometimes, yeah, sometimes they're not having the conversation. Sometimes they're uncomfortable in their own skin. They're like, well, I don't know what to say to them. So they just don't say anything. They don't know enough about the business. So they feel like they can't have conversations. They feel like they don't know who to call, or they are afraid to get hung up on, or afraid to hurt someone's feelings. I don't know. A lot of it, I think, is fear based. You go in and you think if someone tells me no, then I'm going to fail. But people say no all the time to things just because that's what they're not ready for, or they haven't found what they're looking for. You can't ever get to a spot for negotiation until you get to no. That's where your first step to negotiation is. You have to hear no first, because now you know what they don't want. So in order to get to what they do want, no comes first. And I think people are afraid of that.
Yeah, that totally could be part of it for sure. I agree. So one time you had told me this quote, and I'm going to put it on the screen right now, but a lot of people are always saying like, well, I need the work-life balance. I need to be able to separate the two, and I need to like have my personal family time, and then I need to have my work time, and I need to like basically have two versions of me in order to make myself thrive as a human and make myself feel good, right? But I know we've had this conversation many times, and one time you had said it's not who you are. It's or how did you say it?
It is who I
It,
am. It's not what I do. It's who I am.
it's who
Yeah.
you are, not what you do. And what you meant by that was that you you have to become this one person that is doing this to succeed at a high level in order to make your personal life better, to live the life that you want, and get your family involved and get everyone to support you, to understand when you're putting in those extra hours, when you're out showing homes in the evening or on a weekend, and maybe you had to delay your trip of getting out of town one time because you had something you had to run to help a client, because that kind of stuff happens all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's truly who you become as a person. And another thing that I've heard you share with other agents is it's not, you don't ever clock in or clock out. You're always working no matter what's going on. The conversation of real estate comes up all the time. And you had even mentioned about how like the value of the phone ringing, right? Like the value of that call that you could miss, and share a little bit about that.
So early on, I had switched my mindset to associate when my phone rings, that's potential business. And so if I choose to ignore my phone, I have to choose between what I'm doing right then. And sometimes what I'm doing right then is more important. Sometimes there are invaluable things that go on that's what you choose. But you always know that you have a choice. And so knowing that when I choose to answer my phone, knowing that it is business on the other end of it, and being able to make that happen. And I do involve my family a lot. My kids have gone to look at many houses with people. I know a lot of people who've bought houses from me have become very familiar with my kids or my husband. We talk about it at home. They know what I do. They know a lot about the process, and making them feel involved in all of it, I think, is a huge part of it, because it's not this separate thing that I go away and do. It's just who I am, and it's something that we have conversations about, and so they understand things, so they don't feel separated from it. But I think what's really important is that I also set for them an example of working hard. You know, you have to get somewhere in life. You have to work hard. You have to apply yourself. You have to put in long hours. You have to do things sometimes, and it's not always easy. It's not always pretty, and that's what it takes. It's not, just the glamorous stuff. So involving them and having them around that, I think, sets a good example for their future, and providing for them, and them. Have you ever met somebody who you think, well, that guy he just was born rich, or he just has a rich family, or, he just lucked into it, but you didn't really see everything else that went into it. And I think it's important to show them as much as I can what goes into it, so that they know, if they're expecting good things in life, it's not just going to fall on their plate.
Wow. I love it. So that's great. So like that's how you combine both worlds, and that's how you ultimately live a better life, right? And I totally agree. You can't be two different people. When you show up, you've got to practice who you are all the time, because you can't just turn it on. And a lot of people try to get into real estate and then they expect to like come to the office and turn on the real estate agent. And I don't think there's any way to do that. You've got to be that person, whether it's the salesperson you're going to be, whether it's the good deeds you're going to do, whether it's the culture and lifestyle you're going to live. It's got to be you 24/7, everywhere you go, no matter where. And you can't just, turn on different versions of you all the time, on and off. Would you agree?
Yeah, that would be exhausting, and it's hard to keep up with, different types of lifestyle. That's too much work for not a good result, to try to do it that way.
So now here we are today. So we like we've known each other our entire lives. So like we grew up on the same block. A lot of people know that. And then one day I've been looking for an assistant, and I think it was my sister who was like, "Oh, why don't you call Lindsay?" And I did, and you came in, and then here a little time later, I think what 6 months later or so, you had your real estate license, right?
Took me a long time to get through school. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember sitting there working all night waiting for you to show up, and then you finally came along.
Months
And so
later.
you came along and you were helping me with transactions. I think you bought a house your very first day when you jumped in. We went on a showing and wrote an offer, right?
Yep.
So it was really cool. Kind of hit the ground running together, and then like, wow, you'd be a really good sales agent. You got to do that. And it was really scary, but you did it, and you've killed it. And it's probably been much, much better than what you were doing when you started, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've enjoyed it more.
Yeah,
And
for sure.
and so then we do that. We're working at a small private brokerage at the time, and trying to save as much money as we can, trying to be at a discount place, and thought that was the way to go. And we just didn't know what we didn't know, and we ended up leaving there, and we went on to Keller Williams Realty, and we learned a lot from Keller Williams Realty. Our business grew tremendously while we were there, and we grew as people, and we grew as a team. Our production went through the roof. Our team size and agent count grew, and it grew and it shrunk back and forth quite a few times, actually. And I know you were down in the trenches with me a lot of those times, finding people, training people, helping us build our back end systems and our intranet. You're the face behind all our videos of our scripts, of how to deliver the scripts and how to say them and how to handle objections. And so we've done a lot together. And we built this big thing while we were at Keller Williams Realty of how we were going to grow and expand, and always focusing on our vision for the future of what we're going to do, how are we going to get to the next spot in life, and build a better business for ourselves. And eXp Realty comes along, and we start looking at eXp, and we're like, wow, what we want to do fits right in line with what their model is, right? And what happened the first time I brought it to your attention?
The first time we talked about it, it was like it does fit in line. That's interesting. It was very interesting, but I think we both at that time thought it was too good to be true. There was a lot of things that really couldn't be possible with eXp, and I think we both truly, truly loved where we were at and what we were doing, and thought we would find a way to do it there.
Yeah, and I think it went a little bit. I said, "Hey, come check this out." You saw what I was looking at, and you walked out the door and told me you had to go.
Okay, yeah, that might have been more accurate.
So yeah, it went a little bit like that, and then I looked at it, and then I called you back in, had you look at it again, and then we kind of blew it off. And a few months later, we did the same thing again, right? And we just kind of put it on the back burner because, like you said, it sounded too good to be true. We didn't know enough about it to where we didn't think that it was even possible what we were like looking at. And we just figured like there's always something else. Like there's always something else. Like what's the catch, right? And no way that this is going to be able to happen and make life easier on us for our team and our business and our future, and also reward us in multiple ways. That they were just, it sounded like it couldn't exist, right? It sounded like they weren't sustainable and all that.
It did sound like it wasn't sustainable. Yeah, 100%.
So we blew it off. And then like about a year of doing that, we did it again. We looked at it one more time. And actually Kevin, who's commented here in the comments here, is a good friend. And we watched him go, and we were like, wow, well, he's somebody we respect on a high level and really model our business after. So let's give him a call. Let's figure this out and see what's going on. And we started looking into it with him. And then as a team, we got together and we said, okay, well, let's weigh the cons and the pros, and let's decide together if this is something we're going to do. And that process took some time, huh?
I mean, it took some time for you. Are we being completely honest here?
Yeah.
Because at that point, I still wasn't on board with you. I still had the heartstrings. I still had set in my ways. I still had my business avenue that I was going, and I wasn't unhappy. And it's really hard to make a decision to change something when you're not unhappy. Usually pain is what drives you to make those choices. And I wasn't in any pain. I was perfectly happy. I loved where I was. I loved the company. I loved the people. And I was doing really well. So it was hard to have those conversations with you and really seriously look at it.
Yeah. So one thing I learned too is that people will run from pain but they barely will walk towards or kind of, gravitate towards something that's going to benefit them, some opportunity.
Hmm.
And that's what it was, is we didn't have the pain that was telling us like no, and like telling us to run, right, telling us to
Yeah.
do something else. Like we were fine, we were living fine doing what we do, selling homes, and
Yeah.
everything was good. We were around great people, and so we finally just said, okay, let's rip off the band-aid and just do it, and we did. And now here we are, 4 to 5 months in, we're going into our fifth month, and not only has the team's production went up, but you personally, in your first month when we went to eXp, I mean, I don't think I even saw you for a month and a half or so, but you like worked so much, so hard. How many listings did you take when we first came over?
I think it was 13 or 16. There was a lot. I lost count.
Yeah, it was 19. So 19 listings that we took. Um,
Yeah.
19 listings we took in that first like month and maybe a month and a week or so that we came over. And it was insane. Like, not your personal production went through the roof and went up, and you just, it was kind of like somebody just said, like, took the ceiling off and said, "Hey, go work." And same with everyone else on the team. Everyone else on the team had the same thing. Like, "Hey, here you go. There's nothing holding you back." Because what I what I really liked, and I think what a lot of people agree with, the difference of eXp Realty versus any other brokerage out there that we started to look at, was that everybody is an owner. Everybody has the same potential as a franchise owner or a broker owner without the risk. And now all it takes is for us to go do the work. Just like we just did the work back when our average purchase price was $68,000 and 80 something $1,000 for the next year.
Yep.
We sold 204 homes one of those years, just so that we had a good income, right? It took a
Just
lot
you
of,
and I. Yeah.
yeah.
Just the two of us together.
So we sold 204 homes that year because we just put our heads down, did the work, and did what it took to survive and actually, have a good income. Well, then we would go to eXp and we see, okay, well, there's nothing standing in our way. We don't have an owner telling us like, hey, like, I'm going to reap the benefits and you just get your personal production. Now we have a company that says, hey, you're treated as an owner. You have multiple streams of income through this company while you're doing your personal production. And everybody just like blew up. It was
Hmm.
like whatever hand was holding us down, like as a metaphor, like got removed, and all we have to do is just do the work.
Hmm.
And so tell us a little bit more about your experience of eXp Realty versus, the other couple companies that you've been at.
You know,
What do you,
I'm sorry, I missed your question. You broke up.
tell us some things that you like about it that, because everyone has like a perception of what it is. A lot of people think that, no one here produces, it's just a recruiting company, when we just stated the opposite. You took 18 or 19 listings when we first came over, and you've been working your butt off, producing a lot. So
Hmm.
it's actually the opposite. You're keeping more of the money of what you're bringing in also, and you're also being rewarded in other avenues. So like, what are some of your favorite things about it that you like?
The opportunity for the passive income in the revenue share program is quite a bit different. It's a different experience in not what I do. The experience itself has been the same because I have always helped other agents. I've always answered questions. I've always mentored and guided and done whatever I can. I believe that's a huge thing that should be, it's just how it should be with new agents coming into real estate and coaching them and guiding them. But coming here and being able to be rewarded on a different level for it, I do it anyway. So being able to be a part of that, I had thought that I'm not a recruiter. I've never been very good at recruiting, and that's not what I do. I sell houses. I'm in production, and that's where my focus is. And so to see one person in my downline and to have more than my car payments worth in a paycheck just from revenue share from one person is a huge difference than what I was used to before. And I'm not doing anything different. I'm doing exactly what I had done before. So the experience itself isn't different, but the reward is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. So What that is that your number one favorite thing that you like about it? Like you're doing the same job and you've added another income source at the same exact time, not taking time away from your production, but just being rewarded and treated in a way that you can actually grow and expand.
Um, that would probably be one of my favorite things. I also really like the opportunity for the virtual brokerage, the broker meetings, the things that I find so important to my business, and being able to be a part of the classes that I can do them from anywhere. And like you mentioned, you didn't see me for the first 6 weeks or 2 months, however long it was. I didn't come into the office, and that was a brand new thing for me because I was always in the office Monday through Friday, sometimes 7:30 to 6 or 7 o'clock at night. I was always in the office. You could count on me being there unless I was out meeting with clients. And so for me, being able to get the same kind of interaction, the same kind of help and guidance in what I need, being able to participate in classes, being able to have that support system and still feel connected. Most people who work from home have a disconnect. They feel isolated and excluded from a lot of things, and being able to have that here virtually has that's actually my favorite thing. That really is, because I still have all of those things that you usually lose when you don't have a brick and mortar place where people are not face to face every day.
And I think that's huge for you because you were so plugged into like your previous offices and you were like so engaged with that part of it. And so that was kind of a worry when we left, was like, well, like, am I going to lose this like fulfillment that I get by giving back to the office and helping out with others and all that? But you're still doing it. Like you said, you're still involved. You are still helping new agents that we have here, and you're actually still growing what we call your team, right? Through revenue share, to where you've got other agents coming on board that you're going to be able to work alongside, that even if they didn't join our team, BNP Network, they're joining your eXp Realty team, and as a single agent, or even running their own team, and you're able to now, collaborate and work together in a way that it's a win-win for everyone. And I think that's huge because it's so much better to do things together. Like we always say, what's the quote?
Together is better, alone sucks.
Yeah. So like, and I live by that. And so it's so much nicer to be able to like just have the conversation with each other when we're all doing the same thing and we're all working towards the same goal. There's enough business out there for all of us, and we can just go out there and find it together. And we can not only find it together, but we can try to together put our heads together, come up with the best ways and the most fun ways to actually be like the best at it too. And so I love doing that together.
Yeah.
So let's get a little bit more into like the business model of eXp Realty and talk a little bit more about what you know about it. I know for you, you jumped in with your head down and just did the work. And it was probably a few months into it when I finally was like, hey, let's log in and actually look at like some of the rewards that you've already received. And you didn't even know how to log in at first. So we figured out how to get you logged in. And
I got logged in yesterday. Just kidding. It's probably been 2 weeks.
But like, I remember the look on your face when the first couple of times you looked at, like the revenue and the stock, and you were like, oh, like I didn't even know that this existed in here and that you're receiving.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a surprise.
And like, what a good feeling to know that like that just happened for you, right? While you're doing the exact thing you would have always done.
Yep. Yeah. I'm going to sell real estate wherever I am, no matter what brokerage I'm at. That's what I'm going to do. And so to have the other opportunities for doing what I've always done, it's just like icing on the cake.
Yeah, it is. So let's talk a little bit about our team now. So like you've been with me like since the day you started, and it's been what, for 11 years?
10
years?
2018. I know it's hard when you get old to keep track of the years, but it's only 10.
Okay. So you've been working with me for a long time, and a decade now. So let's say you've seen our team from when it was just the two of us and we had no structure, no business model. We were just coming in and just hustling, right? There's a lot of difference between just hustling and actually having like a business plan and like a business model that's working for us behind the scenes all the time today. Like even a couple of years ago, we didn't have like the structure that we have today of like, if you went on vacation today, your business still operates and runs. And before, what we had was like support of people processing transactions, right?
Right.
So talk a little bit about the changes that you've seen in that and what you enjoy about the team, and just give people your perspective on it.
Um, and a lot of teams still operate this way, and I think it works for some of them. But what we had tried in the past was where there was like many faces of the team, and a person would deal with one person during part of the transaction, and then they would deal with your support who ran the rest of the transaction. And for us, I don't think that was the best move. It was a lot of confusion and chaos. The clients felt very insecure about what was going on, and not everybody had the same level of care toward each person, and some people can be difficult, and so that made them care a little bit less sometimes. So for us, I think that it was a lot better when we transitioned to where the agents handle their business, but we have our back end support for the agents. So when I am out on the road doing things, I do have Stephanie, who's one of our rock stars. She's like the glue that holds everything together. She does a lot of things for me on the back end. She's like my clone, but I'm still facing the clients. I still have the main communication through escrow, the lenders, the buyers, the sellers. I still know everything that's going on, and I'm handling it, at face value with them. And we're not losing anything in translation. There's no miscommunication between this person and this person and this person. So I think that it's a better transaction that way, but it still allows me to have the freedom to just the end of last month, I went to Oregon and I actually didn't take my laptop for the first time in 10 years. I traveled for 4 days without my laptop. And so I used my phone for my email and, communicating with people. And then my backend support took care of what really needed to be taken care of computer wise for me. And without that, I wouldn't be able to do that. Likewise, we actually have an agent on our team who I was able to help just yesterday. Something happened. They were in the emergency room and he had a deadline. It was the last day in order to protect his buyers earnest money in the transaction. He had to have this paperwork done, but he didn't have access to his computer, and I was able to help him with that. And so being able to be a part of that and have that support when you're not part of something that allows you to have that, what do you do? Because life happens. We all have stuff. We all have circumstances, and sometimes they're not planned. A lot of times they're not planned. They just happen. And so being able to have that is, for me, it's huge. It's what makes this all doable.
And so also being like I had mentioned, where we grew up together on the same street, and being my like lifelong older friend that lives down the road from me that I grew up with, you're somebody that I come to all the time for advice and help. And like whenever we're going to make a change, I come to you. And you had mentioned about the change we made where we just had transaction coordinators, and before we made our like BMP platform, I call it, they just processed the paperwork after we did the sale. We did everything up until that point. And I remember you had told me a couple of times, you're like, yeah, I don't like this part. I like to actually have my hands in, because you're on the front lines. You're the ones dealing with the client. Your client's experience is one of the most important things, because they're going to send you repeat referrals and come back to you for business. And this is one area that you have dominated, is that you've gotten referrals and repeat business probably more than anybody I know. And I know a lot of real estate agents. So I think that's really, really, really impressive. And I remember I finally, took me a while, but I finally took your advice and said, okay, we're going to give some of the face-to-face stuff back to the agents to make sure that things go smoother, make sure they have a better experience, make sure that they want to keep sending us business, make everyone else happy about working with us, right? And then we're going to dominate on the back end with sales training, support, marketing, technology, building our own systems. And we're just going to maximize that and actually build a business that we can actually stand on, right? Not just support. And so right. You had a big play in our team taking that transition. So thank you for that. And again, I said, my wiser older friend from down the street.
It's easy to take advice from somebody who's so wise yet appears so much younger. When you look this good compared to yourself, it's really easy to take my advice. You're welcome.
So now you've also been licensed in another state too, right? So you've been in Arizona for years, but you also got licensed in Nevada, and you have been selling in Laughlin for how long now?
Almost 3 years.
Okay. And so, how like how much more of a benefit was it for you with eXp's version of their business model, because they're one company, one owner nationwide, and so that alone right there was a huge savings to you, right?
Yeah, huge, because with the previous brokerage, each was independently owned and operated. So you had to pay into their royalties, their caps, all of those things. You had different splits with each one. And with eXp, it's one company. So I pay one company for my split. I don't have any additional fees to be part of their systems, their tools, their resources. I think to be a part of the lot, I was in Laughlin doesn't have a Keller Williams, so I was in a Las Vegas branch, and I was charged an $80 desk fee for something I never even stepped foot into because that's not where I was. So for me, it's huge.
Yep, huge. And then for the year was like thousands of dollars in savings. So like
Yeah,
that'll be just another extra benefit. But even with that, I remember you still told me no in the very beginning. I said it was like, I'm happy. And we kind of blew it off for that full year. But all this stuff combined, like this is why we mentioned it sounds too good to be true, because you know, you're still doing the one and only thing that you've mastered, which is your personal production, your sales, working with your clients in your database, and you're just all these other benefits just kind of came along with it. And so
yeah,
I think it's been a great transition. I mean, we're almost 5 months in now, and we've already have been noticing all these changes that are actually benefiting our business together. And I can't wait to see where we're at in a year, 2 years, and 5 years. And I know we're in it for the long game, and a lot of other people try to claim that, but really, what really matters is some of the things that you said. You know, caring about your clients, focusing on your production, growing your business, and at eXp having the ability to help others outgrow you and make it a win-win for everyone.
hmm
I think it's been a great fit. Is there anything else you want to add about eXp or about the team?
I feel like we've talked about all of it. I think.
Yeah, I think we've covered a
Other
lot.
than
So
other than so you know what, there is just one more thing just to touch on that. It was part of our vision that we had for several years to expand and be able to grow nationally in different areas. And when we were with Keller Williams, we were stonewalled in many different places, like we talked about, me being part of the other brokerage and having that extra cap. There was a lot of things that came with that. And in fact, some of the Keller Williams actually didn't even allow expansion teams and would say no. So that really was thwarting what we wanted to do and the plans that we had. And so I'm pretty excited about, in the first 5 months that we've been with eXp, we've actually been able to expand to New York, down to Phoenix. Did you tell me that we have someone in Texas?
possibly Florida. Yeah.
Florida. That's what it was. Yeah. So for me, that's really exciting to see these dreams come to life after just 5 months of what had we had been planning on for years and working models and trying for things that just didn't come to fruition. Um, Not despite the efforts that we put into it. You and I both sacrificed quite a lot to try to make those things happen, and now they are.
They are. I know. And it's great to see it happening. And how easy it's happening too is like, it's shocking to me because it's literally something we can do overnight at this point. And we are doing it overnight. We haven't even put the effort into that expansion portion yet. And we've expanded, like you said. So like once we decide, okay, let's put those feet forward and start pushing that, I think we're going to see a lot of big things happen and see our team kind of expand in multiple areas. But at this point, we've seen a lot of growth just with the little bit of effort, because we came over here thinking, let's get our production up, let's make sure everyone's making money, let's get our agents happy, let's make sure we're impacting their lives and helping their business, because we had a lot of new people.
Yeah.
And while we've been doing that, things are just happening naturally for us. And
Mhm.
it's one of the reasons why eXp calls it agent attraction rather than recruiting, because it's not like when you're producing on a high level and you're running a good real estate business, agents are automatically attracted to what you're doing.
Exactly. They want to see what you have going on, and it's like you almost become that shiny thing that they look toward.
Yeah. Awesome. So you currently are selling homes in the Kingman area. I know you go to Bullhead a lot and to Laughlin, right?
Yep. Bullhead,
Okay.
Kingman, Laughlin, Golden Valley, anywhere in between.
So how do people get a hold of you? What's the best way if they're looking to buy, sell, invest in real estate, or if they want to talk about getting into real estate, or maybe they're an agent who's saying, hey, I want to know more about it. Lindsay's somebody I respect. I've done multiple sales with her, and they want to talk to you about the whole eXp business model and what opportunity they could have together. Do you want them to send you a Facebook message, text, or call you, or what's the best way?
That's the beauty of 2019. There's so many ways. There's Facebook messages, Instagram messages, my cell phone. Anybody can reach me on my cell phone almost always. That's hooked to my side. So 928-530-1234. Super easy number. There's no reason anybody should ever forget it. But any way that anybody wants to communicate with me, you could show up at my doorstep. I'd be happy to talk.
Perfect. So I threw your phone and I see Lindsay text about 2,000 times an hour. So if you guys send her a text message, she'll get back to you right away. And otherwise, just comment or send her a DM. I'm going to tag her in the post so you guys can add Lindsay on Facebook and follow her journey through real estate and connect with all of us there.
Cool. Thanks, David.
Cool.
I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.